Brilliance Audio presents Pipe Dreams, The Plundering of Iraq's Oil Wealth, by Erin Banco, performed by Jennings. Fuad Hussein's Lexus SUV roared down the dusty highway on the outskirts of Kirkuk. Hussein, so optimistic just a few years back, was taking me on a dispiriting tour as he unwound a dispiriting story. It was the winter of 2016, and Iraq was in its third year of war against ISIS. Just over 50 miles south, in the town of Tuz-Kermadu, Kurdish militias were facing off against Shiite fighters, backed by the Iraqi central government, both vying for greater control over Kirkuk. The war, Hussein said, was not just about defeating a terrorist organization, but about political factions and armies fighting for control and influence. As Hussein and I drove, we passed by refugee camps. The battle with ISIS had sucked the region dry of cash and contributed to one of the worst humanitarian disasters in recent history. As bad, some international oil companies had begun to wonder whether Iraqi Kurdistan was the investment opportunity it was advertised to be following the U.S. invasion. Fed up with disappointing exploration results, coupled with years of instability and a frustrating oil ministry, some oil companies had pulled out of the region. Several oil companies were in debt and had not received payouts from the cash-strapped Kurdistan regional government as promised in their contracts. Civil servants, despite raucous demands, had not been paid by the government in months. Hussein, a member of the province's Oil and Gas Committee, was elected to the council in 2005. Hussein has lived in Kirkuk most of his life, decades in which the city has been fought over constantly. He saw it subjected to the Anfal campaign of genocide under former President Saddam Hussein, who sought to contain Kurdish aspirations for self-determination. He saw his friends die fighting for Kurdish rights and freedom, and witnessed Kurdish homes completely leveled by Saddam's military. And then, upon the ousting of Saddam, he saw hundreds of thousands of people begin to hope. Foreign energy companies slowly arrived in the late 1990s, and then en masse, following the American invasion in 2003, with plans to develop Iraqi Kurdistan into one of the most productive oil and natural gas regions in the Middle East. Despite the Kurds' lingering tensions with the Baghdad government, a new, wildly prosperous era seemed just over the horizon. More than 10 years later, Hussein said, those dreams were in tatters. Initial hopes that things would turn out for the better have mostly resulted in disappointment. The fight between Kurdish and Iraqi militias dramatically escalated in late 2017, following a Kurdish referendum for independence. After the vote, Iraqi forces moved into Kirkuk, taking over key positions the Kurds had controlled since 2014, and control of the oil fields changed hands. The intense standoff not only escalated tensions between Baghdad and Erbil, but also caused internal rifts between the Kurdish main political parties and their soldiers. The skirmishes seemed to wipe away any hope by the Kurds that they would soon solidify their control in Kirkuk and gain full autonomy from the central government. The extreme swings of war and terrorism, going back to the early days of Saddam and even before, have left their mark on the Iraqi people. Millions of ordinary Iraqis have been displaced from their homes. Thousands of people, both Iraqi and American, have died. That story, chronically recycled by news outlets, certainly deserves to be told. But a more complicated story, and yet no less important one, is the promise made to the Iraqis that after the bombs and bullets stopped flying, after Saddam had been vanquished, their lives would be made immeasurably better. One of the reasons? Because Iraq and Iraqi Kurdistan sit on some of the world's largest oil reserves, and in times of peace, billions of dollars could flow from those oil riches into the public coffers, replacing chaos and poverty with prosperity and plenty. It hasn't worked out that way for Iraqi Kurdistan.